Finding the perfect hiking camera is not about raw specifications. It's about finding the right balance. I've been on a lot of different hikes with a lot of different cameras, and well, I think that a good hiking camera should probably be small, and it should also probably be quite light, but it should also probably have good battery life and maybe have an inbuilt flash so you don't have to take your flash with you. It should also probably be durable because you might encounter weather or drop it, but it also should probably have good image quality, because what's the point of bringing a camera if all the photos are grainy and kind of shit? It's a lot of things to consider, it's a lot of things to think about. That's a lot of things to balance, to find that balance between practicality and functionality. It's tough. So I thought I'd make it a little bit easier. I thought I'd make a little model, the definitive model for finding the perfect hiking camera. Camera's hikeability, let's call it that, is a balance between how practical it is to take hiking and how functionally good it is as a camera. So let's use these umbrella terms. Let's assign 6 variables in each of these categories. So, under practicality, we have considerations like battery. We have weight, we have size, we have durability, we have one-handedness, and we have storage. Under the umbrella category of functionality, we have the variables image quality, video capability, camera control, flash, lens versatility, and the intangible qualities. This is the vibe check, right? How fun's a camera to use? For each of these variables under our umbrella categories of practicality and functionality, we will assign a value between -5 and 5, corresponding to how well the camera does in this category. Once we've assigned a value between -5 and 5 against each of these variables under the subcategories of functionality and practicality, we then sum for those values to get values for functionality between -30 and 30, and then a value for practicality between -30 and 30. And then by plotting practicality and functionality on the XY axis, we can see how these cameras perform relative to each other. That maybe help us decide which is the best and most hikeable camera. There is a small caveat in this model. Weight is very important in hiking. It's very, very important. Reduction of weight is a huge consideration, and any additional weight, unnecessary additional weight, is a huge negative. It's a huge negative on your speed. It's a huge negative on your longevity. How do we reflect this in the model? Well, what I've done, under the category of practicality, whatever number is assigned to the variable of weight gets multiplied by 2, right? So if a camera is light and it has a 4 out of 5, then that becomes an 8, which means that when we sum all the practicality numbers, weight has a disproportional importance on how that value comes out. On the other side of that, in the realm of practicality, I've assigned the multiplier of 2 to the intangible quality, the vibe check, right? So, if you're using a camera, and this is a hobby, right, not professionally, how the camera feels is pretty important. So as you'll see, this changes the model slightly, right? Your minimum and maximum total sum value could end up being minus 35 and plus 35. But it is very important to recognize the disproportional importance of weight and the vibes when it comes to choosing a camera. How about some examples, right? The LP-E6 battery in the Canon 5D Mark II is rated for 850 shots, which is lots. I used one battery for my entire 7-day trip through Tasmania, so it's going to get a good score. However, there are cameras in my collection that are fully manual and don't require batteries at all. So I give it a good score, but not a perfect score. The Mamiya RB67. Let's talk about image quality. The image quality from the RB67, it's kind of unparalleled by any other camera that I own. We're talking medium format film combined with a Sekor lens that is premium sharp. However, my Mamiya RB67 is broken, so I can't exactly give it perfect marks for durability. The Nikon Coolpix suffers from some serious storage limitations. I can put a 500 megabyte memory card in that camera and that's pretty much it. So it only shoots JPEG and you're really limited on frames. However, the vibes are impeccable. Using that camera is simply so much fun. For the intangibles, it gets a perfect score. The Lumix. The single point autofocus, the size, the weight makes it fantastic to be a one-handed camera. One-handedness is very important on the trail, especially if you've got a hiking pole in the other hand or even a stolen artifact. However, battery life on the Lumix is a bit blech, and I've had some durability issues in the past. The lens has got stuck inside its housing on several occasions. The Canon P is a fully manual film camera that has its benefits. No battery, for example, doesn't need one. However, it does have its limitations. No autofocus, for example, and your lens selection is very limited. I mean, this is all well and nice. We've got ourselves a little model, we've got ourselves a little graph and some cameras on that graph. But why don't we put this all to the test? Why don't we head out on a new hike with a new camera? This is the Samsung Fino A7Riii, a point-and-shoot camera that shoots 35mm film. At first glance, it would appear to be quite a practical camera. Light, small, a film camera, so probably decent battery life. However, there are some clear functional limitations. Camera control is minimal. The user can change the focal length, change the flash mode, or set a timer. There's no aperture priority or manual focus. After applying a rating to each variable for practicality and functionality, the Fino gets a theoretical figure of 17 for functionality and 13 for practicality, putting it around here on our scale of hikeability. It performs well on the model. It certainly sits within our desired range, and near the Lumix and Nikon Corbix. Remember though, I wanted to test this model in the real world, so for that, we'll need to go on a hike. By 10 AM we had left Guthaga and head north past the Guthaga Trig. Up on the ridge line we U-turn southwest towards Mount Tate and through Concert Stephen Pass. We tried to find the trail we lost an hour previous. We have some luck after summiting Mount Tate. Not to worry, only 2 more days of this. The Fino held up well. I was very cautious about durability, so much of the very intense rainy bits, I took photos through a Ziploc bag to prevent water damage. The photographs I got from the Samsung Fino A7Riii I think reflect its form factor. Its lightness, its ease of use favour a more spontaneous approach, as if each frame on the roll of film means less. This is a great camera for staying in the moment and letting photography take a back seat to experience. Thankfully, it didn't rain for our entire trip. By the end of the second day, weather had calmed. We used the shelter of Seaman's Hut, funny name I know, to dry off, and had a relatively uneventful evening. We woke the following morning to find a landscape washed in warm light. This was the first time we'd seen the sun in a couple of days, and that felt nice. As I had suspected, the limited focus control was a pain sometimes, and resulted in many photographs just sort of being out of focus, despite good light and the subject being dead center in frame. The practical benefits of this camera are simply undeniable. It's so small, it's so light, and so easy to use with one hand. However, there are some significant limitations. When I take photographs, a lot of the time I like to focus on my subject and then have the ability to recompose with the focus remaining on that subject. The Fino autofocusing system simply doesn't allow me to do that with any level of confidence, which makes shooting with this camera sometimes feel like compositionally restricting. No good. This experience also got me thinking about my model and the role that durability plays. I think it's important to capture the good and the bad of my experiences for it to be honest. If I have a camera that I'm really worried about getting broken as a result of its weather sealing, it simply doesn't let me do that. I feel like I kept this camera either in my pocket too many times or in the bag too many times, in the Ziploc bag. So maybe durability is more important than my model suggests. Maybe I need to change the proportional impact of durability on a camera's overall score. A change like that in the model would give cameras like this waterproof, shockproof Lumix DMC FT10, a real shot at the title. Stay tuned. That's all for now. Thank you so much for watching. If you think this video was valuable and a good use of your time, maybe consider subscribing, consider liking. And if you have any ideas for your personal favorite hiking camera, please leave that in the comments below. Well, it's been a real pleasure, and I'll see you soon.